I love the quote from Catholic theologian Henry Nouwen. He said, "For the person of faith, no meeting is accidental." And I think that God calls us to the next person with whom we're engaged, and to also say that's one for whom Christ died.
Hello and welcome back to the Riverside Church Podcast, where our mission is to equip you to live out the gospel in everyday life. We're doing that in this series of podcasts. If you have been watching recently and listening, we have been talking with local ministries, organizations, nonprofits, in order to put them on a, whatever small platform we have in order to highlight the work that they are doing in the community. Because we noticed at Riverside, one of the things that we want to do is acknowledge those ministries because we recognize we can't do all of it ourselves. We were just talking about that right before we started the podcast here. So we just want to take the opportunity that we have on this, like I said, little platform that we have called the Riverside Church Podcast. And we just want to highlight things in the community that people are doing and organizations are doing. And today we have with us Gary.
Correct.
And I'm not going to even try the last name.
Lautenschlager.
Lautenschlager. Okay, I probably butchered that like crazy.
I answer to most anything.
There you go, Gary. And also Paul Henderson, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We're a Swede and a German.
Swede and a German. I like it. And you've got a Scot over here, so
Oh.
don't hold that against me. Well, I'm kind of a mutt, I like to say, because I've got a little bit of everything in me. So my mom did my ancestry. Sorry, just a little side tangent, but you brought it up. So I did my ancestry DNA not that long ago, and I have like 1% Swedish in me. And so I'm like, yes, that little bit of Viking, I've got it. But most of it's, Scotland, Ireland, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so Gary, you are with Salem Area Ministries.
That is correct.
And so I just want to take a couple minutes. Maybe you can introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit maybe about your testimony.
Okay.
And how you got started into ministry.
Okay. Actually, I'm one of the founding directors of Salem Area Ministries, and I currently serve as the administrator with Salem Area Ministries. I was a representative from College Lutheran Church to a ecumenical group 15 years or so ago, and was approached by Mrs. Dorsey to serve on this group. And then she asked me to become more involved with the group. And about 12 years ago, we were approached by local school administrators who were acting on behalf of their at-risk students who were experiencing hunger on the weekends, and they asked us if we would establish a feeding program. And we called it ACT-PACs. ACT stood for Area Churches Together.
Okay.
And we provided weekend backpacks for students.
Gotcha.
We started with one school, added another school, and now we're in 9 schools.
Wow.
And that was the offshoot of Salem Area Ministries. We became a 501c3 nonprofit as a result of that, and certainly our mission and ministries to the Salem and Western Roanoke County community has greatly expanded as a result of that initial meeting.
Gotcha.
So again, I, being a good Lutheran, as Paul is as well, Martin Luther said, God doesn't need our good works, but your neighbor does. So I live by that motto, and we try to practice that daily, especially within our missions and ministries, including Mrs. Dorsey's Clothes Closet.
Wow. Okay, so Salem Area Ministries, what all does that entail? You said it has the ACTS?
The ACT-PAC program, and that's still in service.
Gotcha. And then Miss Dorsey's Clothes Closet.
Miss Dorsey's Clothes Closet. We also have other feeding programs.
Gotcha.
As an offshoot of the ACT-PAC program, about 2 years after we initiated that, the principals came back and said, there's a real gap during the summer months. The students who qualify for free and reduced lunches because the schools were closed weren't receiving that.
Yeah.
So they said there's this period of 8 to 10 weeks in which students were not getting adequate food supply. So we initiated what we call our summer feed and read program.
Gotcha.
And again, it grew tremendously.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, we were packing about 16,000 meals over the summer
Wow.
and distributing them through the schools.
Wow.
Now, with COVID, obviously, we had to cease that. But what we did is we didn't stop the program, but we started providing Kroger gift cards to the families.
Yeah.
And so it grew initially to about 110 families. To this summer, we did 210 families.
Wow.
So we spent about $32,000 just in Kroger gift cards just for our summer feed and read program.
Wow.
And we, again, as I said before, we were serving 210 families or individuals.
Yeah, wow.
And so we saw a significant expansion of 40 families in 1 year, the current year. So obviously, with a finite budget, we actually had to decrease the value of the gift cards somewhat.
Yeah, sure.
But we would certainly address the critical needs.
Yeah.
We have also, through a state grant called Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth,
Right.
which is their goal is to prevent obesity in youth. Yeah. We've also established food pantry programs in each of the schools.
Gotcha.
So with the grant funds, we were able to put refrigerators, freezers, shelving units, and food in the local schools.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
And an offshoot of that is we're currently in our school garden program,
Okay.
where we have established or will have established school gardens in every school in the Salem School Division. Our last two are being implemented actually currently. So all 6 schools in Salem will have a school garden where the produce and the vegetables are shared by the students. They can
really
take them home. In some of the cafeterias, they're used in the cafeteria foods.
Yeah.
And so it's been a real tremendous blessing.
Wow.
And actually, we had a meeting yesterday with the school principals, and they've just been overwhelmed with the success of their program and their ability to meet the needs of those at-risk students.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's awesome. Just seeing how what an integral part of the community you're being in Salem Area Ministries is being. I want to take a second. We're going to come back to all of that.
Correct.
I want to take a second. Paul, I just want you to, again, just introduce yourself, maybe a little bit about, how you got involved into, this, how you got roped along with this guy.
Well, Gary's, like you said, a member of College Lutheran Church where I attend as well. And what Gary didn't say, and I need to blow his horn a little bit, he is the wizard of grants. All these things that, excuse me, he says he does, and Salem Area Ministry doesn't just fall out of the sky.
Right.
You need financial underpinning for all this, and Gary is a master at finding grants and getting sponsorships and all of that. And so Gary's a little shy. Lutherans are like that, and I think German Lutherans probably are like that too. And for a while, Gary was a pretty good secret within our own parish. He was doing all this stuff, but not everybody knew about it. And so one of our Sunday school classes, maybe in the summer or sometime, I think we had Trula come in, and Trula Byington, who is a past director of Miss Dorsey's Clothes Closet, came in, and she talked about Miss Dorsey's and what this thing was about, and my wife got involved, and I got involved somewhat, and then I was asked to be on the board, and so I'm on the board, and then Seth, when I was on a trip exploring my Swedish heritage in Sweden about 8 weeks ago, I get an email from Gary and Carrie Harvey-Cutter, who is the chairman of the board, saying, "We've decided that you are now the chair of Miss Dorsey's clothes closet. So I have taken that on, and as we'll get to in a few minutes, Miss Dorsey's is in the midst of moving out of one location into another location. So the logistics right now are fairly complicated, and we're wading through that. But we'll get to that in a little bit. As Gary told you, I served as chaplain at Roanoke College for 30 years, and it was just a great call to ministry to be there, and I found that the call to engage students in service outside themselves was a call for me to answer, and so we did that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's one of the things that I have a life group that I lead week to week, and one of the things we're currently kind of looking at and examining in ourselves is, do we have a heart for service? Mm-hmm. And are we, especially sitting down with ministries and local organizations that are doing the work, I've been challenged to be like, hey, Seth, are you going and being the hands and feet of Jesus? Yeah. And I've had to, come to terms with that in my own walk with Christ, and look beyond myself a little bit more in order to become more Christ-like.
Lutherans have a I don't think we have a corner on this word, but we talk about vocation. What is your calling? And it's part of the church's duty to help decipher that for the members of the church. Sometimes it's a group effort. Sometimes it's individuals. Who knows how that goes. But all of us within the body of Christ have a calling to be out among God's people, and especially God's people with obvious need, and to serve in the name of Christ.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, I love that already. So we'll kind of start with Miss Dorsey's clothes closet. If we want to jump into some of the other ones, we can do that certainly. But I just want to, either one of you, can you walk me through what the clothes closet provides and who they provide it to within the community?
The clothes closet, it is, in my examination of what's available in the Roanoke Valley, is the only place that you can come and get clothing for free, no questions asked. You don't have to be referred. You don't have to prove your need. You walk in. You can take some clothes free of charge. Miss Dorsey's mantra was, "We're here to serve. We're not here to judge." And so nobody says, "Well, I don't. Gary, you're pretty well dressed. I don't think you need any clothes." No, that's not part of what we do. We're here to offer clothes, and it is an increasing ministry. There'll be over 400 probably plus visits a month of individuals. Yeah. And we're open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it's a marvelous thing to watch. Marvelous in the way of being standing in the presence of servants serving in the name of Christ. That's marvelous part of that. Right. I don't mean it's marvelous that poverty is so prevalent even in a place like the Roanoke Valley, but it is, and it's a call that we need to answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think I hear a lot of times we joke about Salem being a bubble, right? We joke about Salem being kind of this perfect little bubble where everything doesn't nothing goes wrong, but there's such a need here in Salem, and like you said, increasingly so. Yep. As time goes on, you see the homeless population goes up. Just families in need that are moving in, immigrant families that are moving in that need assistance. And I love that your website has the Miss Dorsey's Clothes Closet website has both English and Spanish.
Correct.
And that is just such a powerful testimony to where your hearts are,
It's a necessity because about half of the folks that come in, Spanish is the primary language, and so we've had to adjust to that. We've had to find bilingual people to help out there, and we use signs and we use
yeah
we use all kinds of
hand
of
gestures
things.
and
But as I said, about 48% or thereabouts are United States citizens, and then about 52% are
Hispanic or
Hispanic.
otherwise.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
It's also interesting to note that about 80% of our guests have family incomes of less than $25,000.
Yeah.
So we're also experiencing a significant increase in the elderly population.
Yeah.
Our senior citizens are being impacted.
Right.
And so that has been somewhat of a challenge as well.
Yeah.
And there have been some significant outcomes. There's a couple situations where the principals have shared with us that they had a 9-year-old student who came to school with like 4 layers of clothes. What's unusual about that, it happened in May. And what had happened is the family had been evicted the night before,
Oh,
and Mary said, "They're not taking this from me." We also had a 13-year-old who refused to take the school bus home on a Friday. There was lack of food in the home. There were threats of verbal assault in the home, and she refused to get on the school bus. She didn't want to go home. We've had families who children were reluctant to go to school because other kids bullied them or made fun of them because of their clothing, because their hair wasn't clean. So we've addressed those needs as well. We have had people who recently released from prison. And when you go to prison, you wear what you were arrested in. And we had somebody that was arrested in in June, gets out in December, and he's wearing shorts.
Right.
So we have tried to meet those populations as well. We do get a lot of referrals from jails, from assisted living facilities, from mental health clinics for assistance. So Mrs. Dorsey's is a very, very welcoming environment.
Yeah. Well, I think, reading your website, it's obvious. And with the other ministries that we've talked to up to this point, and if you're listening to the podcast, the ones that we've had so far are Care Portal, Community Christmas Store. Those two, let alone, the other ones we've talked to, like we've talked to Sunset Ministries, which is a big elderly care focus. And then even with like Teen Challenge and a couple others, like one of the recurring themes that I'm noticing is dignity.
Correct.
And there's such a big emphasis on your website, which I love, on dignity. But that's one of the things that, like, especially when we had a conversation with Care Portal, was you walk into a home and there's a need. You have to remove any sort of judgment you may have. You have to remove, your perceptions and your experiences, because when you walk in and a child's running around in an environment that's not safe, let alone clean or whatever else. And so a lot of what you're saying, it sounds like that's kind of a recurring theme with these conversations, is dignity. So how do you, either at Miss Dorsey's Clothes Closet or just in the ministry in general, how do you maintain that sense of dignity for the people who come and shop or you help?
I love the quote from Catholic theologian Henry Nouwen. He said, "For the person of faith, no meeting is accidental." And I think that God calls us to the next person with whom we're engaged, and to also say that's one for whom Christ died, and to be able to treat that life not just with dignity and respect, but also there's a sacredness in this interchange, and I get amazed at Gary's numbers. but then I parse that down, and each number is a life, and each number is a hardship, and each number, in as Gary said, in many cases repeats itself daily, and we're called not to ignore that, but we're called to engage them in the community.
Yeah, and from a place of love,
Absolutely, that's what calls us.
Yeah, the love of Christ and carrying that with us and being a light to people. So I love that. I'm gonna have to remember that quote. I'll have to get it from you afterwards. I love that.
Seth, we are blessed through Salem Area Ministries with the local community. We, as Paul mentioned, we've been very successful with foundations and grants. Many of our local community organizations, the Lions, the Rotaries, are active supporters. Salem Moose Lodge is a very active supporter of us. The churches are overwhelmingly supportive. So again, we've created this partnership. And again, we have been blessed. And whenever there's a critical need, the community certainly steps up. We had an opportunity last night to recognize our donors and sponsors at a reception. Again, it's our way of saying thank you and thank you for these blessings.
Yeah.
And we have worked hard. I would have thought 12 years ago when we had a budget of about $1,500 to now we're a budget in excess of $150,000.
Wow.
And so the community has really, really provided for us.
Wow.
And we hopefully can share that with those who are less fortunate. You had mentioned that Salem being this very tight community. One of the challenges when we started 12, 15 years ago was when we go to speak at a church or a community group, they say, we don't have those problems in Salem. We don't have hungry kids in Salem. Statistically, Salem has 2 schools that over 50% of the students qualify for free and reduced lunches. Total within Salem, about 1 in 3 students qualify for free and reduced lunches. So part of our goal is to create a buzz in the community and let the community know that there is a need within the community. And I'm very proud that the Salem community has responded as they have. It's a very, very cooperative, ecumenical blessing to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that. And as a recipient of those free and reduced lunches back in the day, I can attest to that. Fortunate not to have stayed there for very long, but there was a time.
Correct.
And so I want to kind of take
now that's hold on there, because that's important to you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not, you're not just some random dude. You're Seth, and Seth has experienced this, and for whatever reason, God placed a call out there to people who responded, and I think you have a good story. I think you have a good story there.
Yeah, and it's one that me and my wife talk about this all the time. She was adopted from China at a very young age, and she has a testimony that I always joke with her outranks mine by tenfold. She had, and she doesn't mind me sharing this. Hopefully, I'll hear about it later if she does. But she lived in a home where very much like if there was a family in need, it was them. I'll kind of leave it at that. But she had a father who was terminally ill for 10 years and with Huntington's. And so just for 10 years, watching her father, the man she loved, the man who's, provider, carer, all those things. And so her mom really, had to step up and took care of him full time. And so they were operating at like almost no income. Yeah. And so, that's the reason I kind of like, oh, well, I'm fortunate because I am. But at the same time, like it's a reality that when you look at your neighbor, you don't, and it could be your physical neighbor who lives next to you, or it could be the person you see, if you're a kid or a teen watching this, the person you see at school. It could be your coworker. It could be anybody, just the person you see on the street. And we don't know what's going on. I love what you said about the numbers.
Yeah.
The numbers representing souls, representing a life, a hardship, because that's ultimately where I think it's Paul, Peter, and James all say it in different ways, but we're not going to go through this life without suffering. We're going to have hardship. And so it's about finding joy through service and joy through that pain in serving Jesus. So I love that.
Jesus said when one of the when he was visiting a home and a woman poured oil on him and an apostle said, "Why did you do that?" And Jesus said these words. He said, "The poor will be with you always." And I used to take that as just a sociological statement. Here, there's always going to be poverty in the world. But then I thought about this, and I've tried it out on Greek scholars, and they disagree with me. I think it's not only the poor will be with you always, but if you are a disciple, you're going to be in the midst of serving the poor. So you're going to be there where it's happening. You're not going to isolate yourself in a protective bubble that keeps you away from that. When I was chaplain at Rona College, I took over 70 week-long trips with students, and we would be immersed in places that they would never go to otherwise. Yeah. And I saw part of my calling there was to kind of address the innocence.
For sure.
That they carried and said, we need to get in here. And I think that's what all these ministries do. They ask us to immerse ourselves, and there is deep joy in that, as you said.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
You can't explain that to somebody outside.
Yeah.
You just have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's awesome. Do you have any, I mean, you shared a couple instances, examples, but do you guys have any like personal stories or moments where God has like stepped in and either provided the need that you had with the ministry or just with a person, individual, that's really just stayed with you over the years?
I went through a very hard time in my life in the mid-'90s, and my counselor said, well, Paul, it'll be 3 years. You got to wade through this. And I said, well, John, I don't know if I'll make 3 years. Well, almost 3 years to the day, this person fell into my life, my wife, Jennifer. She just, within a week of 3 years. And I thought, wow, this is cool, and I could see that, and it was support of the church, support of my friends, support of a lot of people during that wilderness time of life. That, boom, here it is, and receive it with joy and thanksgiving, and don't question it. That's me.
Gotcha. Yeah, we talked with Salem Roanoke County Food Pantry recently on the podcast.
Sure.
And one of the things that they kept saying time and time again, it was Mickey, and he was mentioning that they would have a need, and the people that he works with, the volunteers, would be looking at the shelves and they'd be saying,
sure,
how are we going to fill all these bags tomorrow? And then someone would pull up in the parking lot and they would unload exactly what was needed.
That's right.
And so I love what you're saying about timing and God's timing, that within a week of that 3 year mark. And that's just I think God does that intentionally because it's a trust. It's a faith thing.
I think one of the most emotional stories that I've heard from the clothes closet, we had a elderly couple. The wife was dying of terminal cancer, and she wanted to be buried in a wedding dress. Or she wanted to have a dress to be buried in, I'm sorry.
Right.
And she had a somewhat odd size. Well, the day before, a donor had brought in this dress, the exact size, and it was a perfect match.
Wow.
And she left with the biggest smile on her face. and it was quite emotional.
You can't
we
tell
had
me.
We had, again,
Yeah.
an elderly couple come in and was getting ready to get married. They both were in their 80s, and they wanted to formalize their relationship.
Yeah.
And again, the day before, somebody brought in a wedding dress, and we very seldom get wedding dresses.
Wow.
And again, it was the perfect size.
Yeah. You can't tell me that God's not real.
So God led those donors and led them to the clothes closet.
Wow.
Very, very.
We're in the midst of that right now at the clothes closet. And about a month ago, we had a deluge of donations, and we got donations. And now when we're moving, all of a sudden we have slack inventory. And so I'm waiting for this whatever
Yeah, you're in it.
to happen in the next 5 weeks that we can.
Hey, and maybe that's the podcast pushing people.
That would be wonderful.
That would be awesome. I would love that to happen. But that's one of the things that I think personal stories and testimonies like that are the way. We talked about that with Care Portal. Even trying to get people within the church to get involved. And until you share that personal story, that testimony of like, this is what God does if you just show up and you commit to do it. I think that's the number one way that you get people to move and to act. Yeah. So with that in mind, how can people help? Whether it's through donations, volunteering, where do you send them?
There are many ways.
Yeah.
If you're interested in volunteering at the clothes closet, I can provide the number. It's 540-389-4889.
Okay.
And if there's nobody answers, simply leave a voice message and we'll be glad to call.
Gotcha.
We're going through that transition. The closet closed about a week ago.
Right.
As we move, and we're packing inventory.
Yeah.
We're packing all the shelving units and the racks and everything.
Yeah.
And we will officially, the movers are coming the second week in December.
Okay.
We plan on opening it at our current facility in January the 5th.
Okay.
So we anticipate it's going to be a lot of shoppers that are going to be there that first week because we've been closed for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Financial donations are certainly welcome as well. And you can go to our website. We're active on Facebook and other social media pages as well.
Yeah. We'll link all those in the description.
So they're all available. I do want to mention specifically for Mrs. Dorsey's Clothes Closet, we have an annual fundraiser.
Okay.
And we call it Moms, Mums, and Mimosas. This year we're going to have a Western theme. It's called Kick Up Your Boots and Brunch a While.
Nice.
And we're going to have it on the campus of Roanoke College.
Your home turf, right?
Yeah.
And previously we had it at a country club, and we just outgrew the space.
Right.
Last year we had about 210 guests there, and so we outgrew our current space.
Yeah.
And it's we call it the Mother's Day brunch. It's the Saturday before Mother's Day, so it'll be May the 9th.
Okay.
From 11 to 2.
All right.
And again, I'll be on the campus of Roanoke College. We have wonderful food. We have vendors. We have entertainment. We also have what we call In the Clutch, which is community groups, churches, businesses will donate a purse, and they will put gift certificates in the purse or other items in the purse. And last year that raised about $3,200.
Okay.
We had some wonderful purses. And
so is that like a raffle situation at the
event? They buy tickets for that.
Gotcha.
We also had an opportunity to raffle off a dinner at Roland's Hotel.
Hey.
And then also an evening at Roland's Hotel valued at $400. The Mountain Lake Resort provided a weekend there, including breakfast, and that was valued at $900.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's a wonderful opportunity. We have brunch, entertainment, again, the silent auction, the In the Clutch. So last year we raised over $30,000.
Wow.
And this year we hope to raise 35 or more than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a wonderful opportunity. And again, it's geared towards the mothers. So we have vendors that do pampering and we have soaps and all these vendors who bring in clothing and that type of thing.
Gotcha.
So we're very excited to move to the campus of Roanoke College.
Yeah.
It's certainly given us much more opportunity, much more space. And they have certainly have providing us a wonderful brunch menu, and we're very, very excited about that.
Awesome.
But that's an opportunity. Tickets will go on sale probably in December.
Okay.
And last year we did sell out.
Oh wow. Okay.
So that was
act fast.
So that was one of the opportunities to moving to Roanoke College. But again, we're a 501c3 organization, a nonprofit, and so we certainly welcome you either to volunteer or to provide financial support.
You know, it's part. We talked about vocation earlier, Seth, and some people may say, "Well, I can't do anything. I can pray for this ministry."
Absolutely.
An astounding, powerful witness to that. I can talk with others. I can go to my pastors and say, I feel this tug, and it sounds like a call, and I don't know what to do with it. And you know, pastors love to be engaged in that kind of conversation because you can take the next step forward, and financial support is absolutely necessary. Boots on the ground are. We have over 500 volunteer hours at Miss Dorsey's every month. People coming in and just doing what needs to be done. So there are lots of ways, but it's all back to, as we talked before, God's calling you to be engaged in the ministry of Christ.
Yeah, absolutely. So you move into a new location, plan to be there early January, but
Early January.
So was that just real quick, was that a decision out of necessity or was it a blessing? Like
Yes and yes.
Yes and yes.
We had been looking for about 2.5, 3 years for a new location.
Yeah.
And what we found was way out of our price range. The ones that we were interested in didn't meet our qualifications or what we were looking for in a building. We wanted to be on a bus route. We wanted to have plenty of parking. We wanted to be in a safe location.
Yeah.
We wanted to have it more accessible. We wanted to have a shopping floor where people could walk around and do that. So again, we found an ideal facility for us. So we're blessed with that.
And that's going to be out on Apperson.
It's going to be on Apperson Drive. It's behind where the Wendy's restaurant is.
Oh, okay, cool.
There's a little 5-unit strip mall there, and it'll be in there.
Okay.
So we're really excited about that, and it's been a really good opportunity for us to transition. We recently hired a new operations coordinator for the clothes closet, put her right under fire. She's been with us since November the 10th.
So really new.
And so she's in the midst of this transition, in midst of this effort to get the volunteers to do the packing and doing all that. So it's been a real eye-awakening opportunity for her, and we're certainly blessed to have Edie Saunders on board as our operations coordinator. Awesome. She's providing some stability for us, and we are very gracious for that.
Awesome. So anything else that you want people to know about either the clothes closet or the other ministries that you have going on?
I often say that we are probably the most active ministry in Salem that nobody's ever heard of.
Right. Right.
Shyness.
Yeah.
But I think we are now creating a buzz within the community.
Absolutely.
Mrs. Dorsey is a very, very visible ministry to the community. However, not many people know of our support to the schools, our feeding programs, and what's been going on with that. But again, we have been extremely blessed. And I would have never thought where we were 10, 12, 13 years ago to where we are today.
Yeah.
When I was going to high school in Salem all those years ago, I didn't know of people who needed that kind of support. I'm sure they were there, but now we have pantries in the schools. Right. We have clothes closets in the schools, and that is people saying, wow, there's this need there. Oh, maybe we could do something about that. And it's really an aggressive kind of reaching out, and it's marvelous. Again, marvelous not in the sense of, oh, it's marvelous to be poor. I wouldn't say that at all, but it's marvelous to see people connecting their call to the needs that are there.
Absolutely.
We're getting ready to send over $25,000 to the schools in Salem and Western Roanoke County that we receive through grants and foundations, through community groups, through churches that can be used for their food pantry programs. So again, the community has really blessed us.
Yeah.
I found out last night, I talked to one of the Moose representatives, and as we speak here, they are giving $1,000 to Andrew Lewis Middle School for Thanksgiving dinners.
Oh, wow.
And will that address all the need in the city of Salem? No, but it will address it for a number of folks, and we have to say that's what we do. That's what they do.
Yeah.
The Moose Lodge is wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Seth, on behalf of Salem Area Ministries and our local community, we certainly appreciate the opportunity to share our ministries, and we're, again, very pleased to be able to be on the podcast, and again, we applaud Riverside.
Well, we appreciate everything you guys do. You know, we're all the hands and feet, right? But if we can take a little bit of time out of our day to talk and to just catch up and honestly just say, hey, we're here and we're willing, and I know we have people in our church who volunteer and who donate and all that stuff, and because that's how we know about you. And I thank you guys so much for being on here, Gary and Paul. I look forward to, I joke with everybody, semi-joking, semi-serious. After every single one of these conversations in the ministries, there's this spirit in me that's like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? Right. Like, let me help. And I have to sort of like tamper that a little bit because it's easy for me to want to just do.
That's God calling you, Seth, and it may not be to come and work in Miss Dorsey's clothes closet, but it's God. That's the way the Spirit works. And part of the church's job, big part of the church's job, is to help identify that and bring it to you and say, well, Seth, what'd you figure out about that? I've been praying for you. Where is it at? So, thank you for the time you spent here. It's a great ministry.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. And the podcast will release, hopefully we'll try to get it out before the clothes closet officially opens back up. Perfect. That'd be nice so that people can.
Very nice.
So, thank you so much.
Thank you.